How would you like to be able to become stress-free, happy, and successful? Paul Aryeh will tell us how. And he's a spiritual and business consultant, and his mission is to help you let go of blocks, obstacles, and behaviors that undermine you so that a renewed and fulfilled you can emerge. So, Paul, please tell us, how can entrepreneurs become stress-free, happy, and successful? Fuel Podcast with Lily Patrascu shares longevity and anti-aging techniques to stay young forever, increase energy, overcome addiction, and live your longest, best life ever. Shared by world's most innovative, alternative, and traditional health thought leaders, healers, and doctors. Discover quantum healing strategies to heal your mind, body, and soul.
Well, that's a very complicated topic, but I think that you hit it on the head, is to be happy. Because if you're not happy doing what you're doing, then everything that will be put in front of you will be a struggle. You know, a lot of business consultants, they talk about being authentic, being sincere, being passionate about what you are doing in your life. And that goes a long way. And a lot of the clients that I work with are very, very empowered people. And their lives are stressful because of their energy really doesn't properly interact with other people. And so there's tons of tension, friction, and a lot of situations that come up that they don't know energetically how to communicate and to listen with the people that they're partners in their success.
That is a very interesting thing that you've said about the energy. So how can someone align their energy with the energy of what they truly desire to manifest and with the energy of those around them so that they can have flow in their life?
Okay, that's a great question. And I think that everything stems from, what's your energy like? What is your, how do you approach the people in your life? How do you approach situations? How do you approach your environment? If it's a positive mindset, everything stems from within you, Lily. So if you're dealing with fear, anxiety, stress, conflict, and energies within you that are either being ignored or unresolved, then it's going to manifest either directly or subtly with your clients, your coworkers, your bosses, and your partners in your life. And so meditation is important because it really opens up your inner awareness, your inner consciousness, and it starts to align and harmonize the elements within you so that you can start to interact with people to empower them rather than to create conflict, to create a positive environment rather than a critical environment, which is judgmental and fear-based. So I recommend with all my clients that meditation is an essential part to success in your life. And success isn't just measured in dollars and cents. It's a byproduct of your enthusiasm, your interest in the topics and the environment, and your willingness to work with people one-on-one in order to have them be embraced in your vision.
Thank you. What other steps can entrepreneurs take to raise their energy so that they are aligned with what they want to manifest in their life or business? The reason I ask you this is because I dislike meditation.
You dislike it?
Yeah, I dislike it.
Why?
I feel it depends on what kind of meditation, but I would say one of two feelings I get: either boredom or I feel scared.
Okay, at least you're aware of the barriers that are preventing you from releasing those negative tendencies. Okay. So the only way to do it is to work with me one-on-one, because every individual is unique. And so I'm going to use your situation as an example, right? So that people can understand and relate to, well, how does it work, you know? And so when I work with executives and founders of companies, I try to identify where their energy is stuck. And in your case, it's obvious. One, there's fear, right? There's fear of what's unknown, and there might be fear of what's known, but it's hidden somewhere inside you. So that translates into anxiety because it's a low grade vibration that, Lily, let's face it, other people tune into it, whether they're conscious of it or not. They will feel it within their own symbiotic system. So the first one was boredom, right? So what's the other side of boredom? You seem to be very, very, very active.
Yeah.
And you don't like to have your mind off the ball, because then your energy is just going to be quote unquote stagnant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we address those two issues. What if you had crystal clarity where you can see in every situation 5, 10 steps ahead how to strategize with your clients in a way that they can follow you to be successful in their life? And the way that you empower them is through your energy. So we work on ways to change your fear and to remove that, because that's a really important thing. We go into that very, very deeply. It's not just sitting there and meditating. It's like, oh, like that. You know, it's very practical. It's very on point with the blockages that you might have that you weren't aware of. Because let's face it, Lily, it's what we are not aware of that runs our lives. And that's part of the meditation process, because if you don't have self-awareness, if you cannot figure out in your own consciousness what limits you, how can you grow?
Thank you. So imagine I don't do meditation. What impact can not doing meditation have on an entrepreneur in terms of business growth and the ability they have to connect energetically with people and situations in their business they desire to attract?
Okay, so the question is, we're always interacting with clients out there. The question is, what's the quality of the energy and the interaction? What is the interaction based on intimidation and fear, or is it based on harmoniously collaborating with people so that they feel empowered, they feel enthusiastic, they're inspired to work with you? And in the end, the reason why clients work with you, Lily, is because they trust you. And so, you know, if your energy is all over the place, and you know what I mean by energy, it's like energy could be through listening. To the degree that you can listen and understand your clients and address the issues so that they can learn to expand and grow and be successful and use the tools that you give them, then you're empowering them. You're giving them the tools not to depend upon you, but to find it within themselves so that they can awaken that consciousness inside them to become successful.
Thank you. So are you saying that meditation is essential to be able to connect to the right energy so that you can empower your clients, and not doing that can enable you to create some blind spots in your own life where you're not seeing certain things that you're creating?
Yes. And on top of that, to have the brain function healthy so that you can discover not just the problems. I mean, everyone has problems, but to discover the solutions. You see, the people associate meditation with boredom. People associate meditation with stagnation. People associate meditation with being impotent and ineffective, when it's truly the opposite. If you take a look at the founder of Apple, if you take a look at Nikola Tesla, if you take a look at all the great thinkers like Einstein, they were able to access a supernatural power that allowed them to accomplish 10x what they would do with just their mental faculties. So it's really about accessing a supernatural power and becoming aligned with it that is the source of inspiration. It's the source of information. It's the source of being able to come up with new, fresh, expanded concepts that you wouldn't normally do under a stressful situation.
Thank you. How can someone access higher love for themselves and for others? And is that the source for them becoming stress-free, happy, and successful?
You use a very interesting word that I was surprised to hear. And that's really a tremendous force of nature. Love is, if you're not experiencing love in your life, how do you think that translates in the business environment? Love is just a function of how open your heart is, how receptive you are and intuitive you are in a business environment, in a one-on-one situation, in a one-on-many situation where you have the sensitivity and then you have the barometer to be able to understand and intuitively recognize what's possible. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to make distinctions here so that the listeners can understand that meditation is just the means by which that we expand our capacity. And our capacity to love means that we're receptive, our hearts are open, and we listen. Some of the greatest thinkers and the greatest negotiators are ones that think and listen carefully to the needs of the person that they're talking to. If that is blocked off and you just have the agenda that's in your mind that you're trying to drive home and convince another person, it will never succeed. People will feel it. They'll feel pressured. They'll feel that you have an agenda which is based on selfish, materialistic, monetary gains. That's it. When the opportunity that's there is to empower not only yourself, but the other person that you're working with so that they feel trusted, heard, and empowered to be successful themselves.
Thank you. So how can someone reach this level of higher love within themselves, higher self-love, and higher love of others that will enable them to attract energetically everything desired?
Meditate. Open yourself up to the energies around you. Go out in nature. I do a lot of practical things. For example, in this meeting, how often did you or I breathe deeply in order to take in the oxygen that's around us, right? How often do we take breaks from our laptop and decompress by walking in nature, going into forests, taking a walk, spending time to allow the brain to not be under so much tension and stress. And then once you're able to do that, you'll be able to start to access it. Meditation isn't just sitting silently, although it's one component of it. It's not the only thing. And when I work with CEOs and high-level entrepreneurs and people that are, really dealing with a lot of circumstance and situations which create tension and stress, we figure out ways and tools by which they can balance things out. It's when we're out of balance that we miss a step. It's when we're out of balance that we are not in harmony and when we are the unhappiest. So I try to teach people and give techniques and tools that will help them.
Thank you. So what is your blueprint? Let's say if someone was to come to you and that person is stressed and not very happy and not very successful, or maybe is already successful but is not very happy and full of stress. What would you have them do aside from meditation?
Well, the other side to meditation is the physical orientation of the floor plans. In Eastern philosophy, they call it feng shui or vastu shastra. And I always try to explain to people is to look at their floor plan, literally their floor plan, to see how the energy of their floor plan is affecting them. You may not know this, but your floor plan of your work and your home affect you either negatively or positively. And it's a powerful tool. I'll give you an example. A lot of clients, they have, and all the blueprint does is show how the elements, the earth, the fire, the ether, the water, and the air are contained within your blueprint of your floor plan. So I'll give you an example. When each element is located in different parts of your house, right? So I'll give you an example. In the northeast area of your house, normally it should be the water element. It should be light, not a lot of clutter. So a lot of clients who have their kitchen situated in the northeast, what happens is that you're putting the element of fire in an area that's supposed to be water. And so what's going to happen is that it affects prosperity, abundance, and 99% of all the clients that come to me, they're making money, but they're losing it at the same time. It's because the fire element is burning the prosperity that you're bringing into the house, and it's leaving immediately. That's one example.
Thank you. So I am familiar with feng shui because I have a celebrity client, Marie Diamond from the movie The Secret, and she implemented some things in my house. And one really interesting thing that she mentioned was that I used to live in this luxury apartment, and I really loved like everything about it. But one interesting thing she said was, for example, you have your house that's positioned in a perfect way for wealth to enter. And then as you're entering, you have this kitchen living room, and then passing through, it kind of leads directly to a balcony. And the balcony doesn't have any sort of like barrier. So like the energy of the wealth comes in and it's like going straight out as well. So it's quite interesting how the energy of your environment works in terms of helping you or not helping you to retain wealth and not just create it.
Right.
I'm wondering about what would be a blueprint that you would have people do to become stress-free? Let's just take this step first. Aside from meditation and from feng shui, is there anything else that you would have them do, or are there any other elements of feng shui they can implement in order to become stress-free?
Well, what I do with all my clients is I tell them, send me your blueprint. I do this all around the world, and I go to people's houses because, it's usually health, wealth, relationships, or mental or physical well-being. Those are the areas that people have lack of harmony and they're having problems, especially relationships. Because if you're in a relationship that is constantly on edge and it's not harmonious and there's no source of love and affection, and that you're constantly fighting, it will drain you in a way that's going to distract or divert your prosperity. So what I recommend to people is to hire me as a consultant to look at their floor plan so I can identify what the issues are that are playing, and then try to see if we can find solutions or the ability to fix some of those distractions or diversions. And then that usually helps. It takes a few months for the energy to implement, but it's very powerful because you're dealing with the power of the 5 elements. That's really what it is. Us as human beings are comprised of the 5 elements. The earth, which is the bones and the muscle of our system. 80% of our body is water. Did you know that? 80% of our body contains water. And that water is depleted when you're not drinking water. That's the second thing. And a lot of times, I try to explain to people is that what you put into your system vibrates within you. It's like going to a theater and watching a horror movie. That fear gets ignited. It's like, boo. But the effects still continue after the theater has ended. So similarly, the air that we breathe, how often, Lily, do we take a deep breath? How often do we pause and take in the oxygen in our system and then exhale to release the stress? It's a powerful way to align yourself. So to answer your question, beyond that, if you are developing harmony with the elements outside yourself and within yourself, what else can you do? Then you have to allow the process of meditation to unfold. We are miraculous human beings. We've forgotten how supernatural and how divine we are and how much capacity we have to transform ourselves and the people around us. So I try to give tools, simple tools that will recalibrate and allow people to start to recognize that. That's why meditation is one of the tools. Vastu Shastra is another tool. Working with the elements is another tool. So all of this is, one-on-one or one-on-many in workshops, seminars, or with clients.
Thank you. So I'm so glad that you mentioned relationships and how having a bad relationship or having a relationship that is full of stress can impact overall your happiness. Mm-hmm. And one interesting thing that Marie Diamond, who is teaching feng shui, she has implemented in my house is certain things that she has helped me change. And because of that, for example, like I've been trying to persuade my partner to do a podcast for the last 5 years, and he hasn't wanted to do it. Okay. And one interesting thing that happened is that I think she helped me around, I would say maybe February of the previous year to put some elements in place. And she also did dowsing, which also impacts the energy in your house.
Yeah, it clears it out.
I'm sorry?
It clears out the negative energy that's there.
Yes. So one interesting that happened is that I've managed to persuade my partner Harry to run his first podcast in May last year. And since then, he has interviewed 500 multimillionaires, and every single day he is connecting with really high vibe, inspirational, motivational entrepreneurs that he's learning a lot from. And one interesting that he's learned from them is that first, even if someone hasn't done hasn't done something, okay, you can still trust them to have an opinion that could impact you. So for example, I had never done a podcast. I never knew that it could be successful, but I just knew intuitively that it could be. And I managed to kind of, persuade him to do it. And I do think it's a result of the feng shui the dowsing, the energy elements that were implemented. So I do think that the feng shui had an impact on the relationship, on our ability to understand each other. And because of that, now we both have, not only 2 podcasts, we have a lot more than that. And we are attracting multimillionaires every single day to our business. And it used to be hard before to attract high quality people. And I do think the energy of your environment, the energy of your accommodation can really significantly impact the relationships and the stress that you may have with your partner. And I found that quite interesting. And because of that, I'm a lot happier. And well, you can say I'm more successful. I'm still working on that. So yeah, I do think that works. Tell me more about what simple habits or routines or apps you recommend entrepreneurs to leverage so they can be happier over the long term.
Okay. Before I answer that question, I'm going to make a recommendation, Lily. Why don't you send me your floor plan, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll make some recommendations or some comments about certain things, and then you can see if it's true. And then once we finish this podcast, we can have a one-on-one and we can discuss it a little bit more in detail. So I offer that to you free of charge because you've been so gracious on this podcast. So I would say one of the most important things for entrepreneurs is to reconnect to the nature. I think it's very, very, very important that that you establish a connection by putting yourself in an environment that has high vibrations. Go to the beach, walk barefoot on the beach, jump in the ocean, take in the positive vibrations of the waves, and grounding yourself with the energy of the earth. That's really important. And I think that we spend so much time in pursuit of money that we spend a lot of time in front of a computer. We spend a lot of time in front of our phones. We spend a lot of time around LED lights. We spend a lot of time in a field of electromagnetic energy, and it puts us out of balance. So I think that when you take the body and the mind, which really, if you take a look at it, it's a miraculous entity in the sense that it heals automatically by getting enough sleep, deep sleep. One of the things that, in addition to that I would say is monitor your breathing. When we learn how to breathe properly, we're able to take in quite a bit of positive vibrations just by the oxygen that's around us. So naturally, when you're in an environment like the woods or just where there are trees, plants, birds, and the open sky, automatically we reset our system. And that's the power of the five elements. Because when the five elements are out of balance within us, we need the nature and the vibrations around us to help reset us. And I think that that's probably one of the most powerful things that I could recommend to people. Of course, I do a lot of other meditations. I tell people to wake up early in the morning as the sun rises, face east as the sun comes up, and absorb the vibrations of the sunlight. Why? Because there's a spectrum of the sun that emits vibrations and rays that the body absorbs, not just D3, but it really heals. And I think Lily, when's the last time you went out and you really looked at the sun and just kind of closed your eyes and allowed the rays to just kind of like hit your face early in the morning and to see how it just resets your whole system? So go ahead.
Yeah, I actually did that recently. I went to the park, realized there's a park nearby. And it's very interesting how I've been sick for the last 10 years. And then I went to Spain for 3 months. And then during that time, I was like 90% recovered. And I think it's because of the sun and the relaxation and, the pool and so many different things. I'm wondering, though, are there any habits that someone would do to kind of elevate their frequency, their vibration, so that they're always like in that joyful state? I do find actually that the power of the sun and when it's nice and warm and it's sunny, that gives you a little bit of a boost. One thing that I've started doing recently is I'm going to theater shows, like musicals, on my own. And I'm going on my own because my partner is abroad at the moment, and I really, really find it almost like it's almost like a treat that I give to myself, and also like going sometimes and sitting on the bench in the park, and it feels very much like being on holiday, right? And
Right.
whilst I'm not on holiday right now, and you could say to some extent I would like to be, because I'm thinking of where would I like to be on holiday next. And whilst I don't have that right now, I find that even going to the park and then absorbing the sun for even, 20 minutes, it kind of gives me that vibe of I'm on holiday already. Are there any other habits that someone could do to elevate their vibration, their happiness levels?
Right. Well, that's a really good point. I would recommend that when you go to the park, take your shoes off and walk on the grass, because what's automatically happening is what's called decharging, where you're releasing out the negative vibrations in your system and you're allowing the earth to heal you. And I think that that's a really important distinction, because we're either doing one of two things. We're either recharging our system by, exposing ourselves to the sun, or, going for walks, which increases our cardiovascular, which increases the intake of oxygen. Drinking water, like what you're doing right now, is a really powerful technique that is extremely important, because it changes the vibrational. Especially if you're drinking purified water or even alkaline water. It's all about bringing the body back to homeostasis so that it can feel what's quote unquote relaxed, like, or on holiday. On holiday means that your negative thoughts and worries reduce. Your muscle and your autonomic nervous system begins to become less tense. If you take a look at it, we're constantly in tension. You look at our hands, we're constantly touching and in tension. Our shoulders, What happens when you take a deep breath, you're telling your system, your body, your mind, that you're not under attack, because that's really what it is. That's fear. It's a very unconscious state of being that triggers the thoughts. If you watch your thoughts, Lily, watch your thoughts. What you're thinking affects your whole system. That's part of the process of working with people, because a lot of times people will think the craziest thoughts. Like, oh my God, we're under attack. Oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God, the economy is going to fall down. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. Oh my God, my partner doesn't love me. Oh my God, this person doesn't really respect me. I'm not loved. Subconsciously, these are the words that we repeat to ourselves thousands of times a day. If you increase your awareness and you can observe those thoughts, you can stop those thoughts and measure it against reality. When in fact, the truth is, even though you might think to yourself, oh, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not pretty enough. What does that tell you? That's a thought that you're thinking subconsciously, that you're projecting out. And then what it means is that I'm not worthy of love. You could begin to start to see how these thoughts and feelings are not based on reality. So meditation is about transforming the consciousness of what's real and creating supernatural states of being that you can then project out. It's like your partner. He said, "Oh, I'm not really a good podcaster. I can't do it. I can't do what Lily does." And so for 5 years, he entertained that thought for a long period of time, until he started listening to Lily, and he said, well, maybe I should try it. And then what happened was a new reality began to surface, where he saw that the interactions and the interviews that he started happening were really pleasant. They were really dynamic. People really enjoyed it. People thought to themselves, and they reflected back to Harry, say, Harry, that's a really good interview. How long have you been doing this? 6 months.
Yeah. And what I find quite interesting is that they write the most interesting reviews about him, like the best interview ever, like in capitals, like this is the best interview I have ever had, like 7 stars.
Right.
And we've run out of time, but I just want you to tell us, where can entrepreneurs find you?
PaulAryeh.com. That's Paul, then last name ARYEH.com. Go there. Everything's there. All the consultations are there. All the email subscriptions, even the links to my YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff are there. You could actually just send me an email. Say, hi, I'd like to have a 15-minute conversation for free. Please, let's schedule it, type of thing. And then it'll go to my calendar, and then you pick the time, and then we can just sit and talk like we're doing right now.
Follow me for more interviews with world's most innovative health change makers to live your healthiest life ever.